Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. We're back here at Clearwater Toyota, and guess what? I have one of the highest in-demand vehicles that Toyota currently has right here next to me. This is it. This is a 2025 updated Sienna. This particular one is a Sienna Woodland Edition. But before we get into the ultimate of people movers, let's talk about what's going on here. So if you go back to the 1980s, it was all about the Dodge minivan. Dodge, Chrysler, and Plymouth, all because of Lee Iacocca, now had an all-new vehicle to sell at their dealerships known as the minivan. And from there on, it grew in its segment. Now today, obviously, Plymouth no longer exists. Chrysler still has the Pacifica, and Dodge is bringing their version. But when it comes to the Japanese brands, you have a couple to choose from. With the Sienna, the nice thing is all of them are going to be hybrid power. And then of course you can go the Honda Odyssey route, or if you wanted to go with a Korean car company, you have Kia with the Carnival, which you can have it your way, internal combustion engine only or as a hybrid. Now, like I said, for 2025, the Sienna gets some fine tuning, especially to the interior. But what I want to find out is it the must-have of the minivans? Let's go ahead, let's dive into ours and find out. Right off the bat, you're gonna notice one of my favorite colors in Toyota's palette. It's called cement, and it actually fits the character of the Woodland Edition pretty well. Now, one thing I want to point out is the color actually has a pearlescent metallic to it. It's not a flat gray finish. So nice to have that sparkle. You'll notice full LED daytime running lamps, LED headlights, and your turn signals. Working your way down, we're gonna get LED fog lamps, just a little bit of flat black, and you'll also notice the splitter extension. And you're probably saying, well, Joe, why does a minivan have a splitter on it? It's not about producing downforce, it's about producing airflow and channeling the airflow around this vehicle. When they came out with this generation of the Sienna a few years ago, they actually took a Japanese bullet train as their primary focus to try to shape this vehicle. That's how serious they were about movement forward through the air. Now, as we come across the front grille area, you have that enlarged lower grille. This seems to be a styling cue that Toyota's been using on many of their vehicles. You have the horizontal bars, flat black, they are functional. And then you'll notice how you have cement on the lower lip and that flat black lip splitter that goes all the way across. I have to admit, for a minivan, this lower portion is pretty aggressive. I mean, if you look at a lot of the other ones, especially the Chrysler Pacifica, it's all about just being a round blob. This has a little bit more character to it, and I can appreciate what they're trying to accomplish. Now, if you're wondering, well, Joe, what trim is the Woodland Edition based on? It's actually based on the XLE. So the way the trims go is LE, Sporty XSE, XLE, Limited, Woodland Edition, and then the top dog is Platinum. That's your list. Quite a different ways to spec this vehicle. Now, as we rise up, there is a large area of gloss black. Not my favorite, but this area does connect the headlights housings on both sides. You're gonna get your blue around the badge, which means that this is a hybrid, and then very, very smooth on the surface as everything kind of curves into those A-pillars. Now, as we come around the bend, what are we working with wheel and tire setup? So on the Woodland Edition, you're actually getting specific wheels. This multi-spoke wheel, flat black with those artistic indentations. It actually helps with the style. If you're looking for something that doesn't look so boring and you need a minivan, this wheel definitely kind of checks off that box. Tires are 235 on the width, 60 series sidewall, and I love the way there's no flat black around the fender openings. Everything is a nice cement color. Now, when it comes to our housings, look at the way the headlight housing has that daytime running lamp, comes all the way around the bend. Coming down the side, you got cement color on your mirror caps with some simple flat black. Large side windows to give some really good visibility, let some light in. You'll notice we have the raised roof rack with the crossbars. You could put all your cargo basket up there. You could put your kayak holder, your canoe holder. And then on the door handles, you have a little bit of cement with a little bit of gloss black. And along the bottom, that side skirt, it's also painted body color. Now, of course, you're gonna have those power opening doors. Let's see if I can get it to work. Nice power sliding doors on both sides. Allow for that easy in and easy out. You also have the kick panel. So in this area right here, obviously, this is when you buy your Sienna brand new, you would slide your foot under here and that would also open it. So that's another nice touch if your hands are full. If you got a baby in your hand, you don't have to drop the baby to get the door open. That would kind of be counterproductive. Working our way towards the rear, this portion is my favorite of the style. The way you have this flared out section that comes into the rear fender, and then you'll notice how they hide the track for the slide door right underneath that quarter glass. Another nice styling feature, the way it comes down at an angle rather than just straight and squared off. A little bit of gloss black trim on the Woodland Edition. And then spinning around back, and yes, that roof rack and the crossbars, that's part of the Woodland Edition. They want you to go on a journey and maybe never come home. On the back portion, you got a nice long roof spoiler. I wish they would hide the wiper on this thing underneath there, but it is what it is, right? Blacked out Toyota badge looking good. This is all Woodland Edition. You got your LED light looking nice, but you got the old-fashioned Thomas Edison light bulb. That's a zonk. That's a zonk on a 2025 model year vehicle. Like I said, HEV, that's a hybrid electric vehicle with the all-wheel drive. And then Woodland Edition is based off of an XLE trim. Work our way down to ground level. You'll notice our very, very interesting tow receiver hookup. This is also part of the Woodland Edition. That comes as you see it with the flat black on the lower bumper. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood so we could talk about what's powering this Sienna. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. Surprisingly, there's a prop rod. I was gonna expect hood struts, so that is a zonk. Underneath the hood is that tried and true power plant. And I think one of the reasons why this is such a hot seller of a vehicle in Toyota's lineup. It's that 2.5 liter inline four naturally aspirated engine paired with the electric motors to get that all-wheel drive. So you have an electric motor out back on the rear axle, and then you have an electric motor up front. It does utilize a CVT. They're trying to maximize MPGs, guys. They're not trying to go to the drag strip. What's curious to me, what makes me curious is that they actually use the older nickel metal hydride battery pack. The good news about that is that they're way more reliable than the lithiums. Even though the lithiums have gotten better, the nickel metal hydride is way more reliable. 0 to 60, 7.5 seconds. Top speed is governed to 117 miles an hour. The vehicle weighs 4,811 pounds, but here's where you're gonna be the winner. You ready for this? 35 MPGs in the city, 36 on the highway. You go look at the competition, good luck. You're not gonna get MPG numbers like that, especially with all-wheel drive. Here's a little fun fact, Honda Odyssey, you can't even get all-wheel drive. But why don't we go ahead, let's turn this thing on and see it move. All right, guys, we are inside this 2025 Toyota Sienna Woodland Edition. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, you're right. You make so much sense, Joe. I have 7 kids, and SUV just isn't gonna cut it for me. So I gotta suck it up and go minivan. But with that being said, I am liking this Sienna, especially the Woodland Edition. How much is it? So MSRP for the way that this one is optioned is $52,000. Not cheap, but Look at the other vehicles in this segment. They're not cheap either. Plus, this is standard hybrid with all-wheel drive. But let's see if you should go Sienna to the door panels. I like the simple, clean material, soft touch. Woodland Edition gets you that sort of copper stitching on the armrest. Even the way they did the trim around the switchgear, it's tasteful, but it's not going to show a bunch of fingerprints. You got your Costco hot dog holder in the center, $1.50 still to this day. And then down below is where you could put your Costco Pepsi, and of course a chicken bake to really just make everybody happy. Now going from the door panel to the dash, there's more of that copper style stitching, Woodland Edition, soft touch. You got your Twinkie tray, Baker's dozen of Twinkies, more soft touch with the stitching. Slide on in, all trims except LE now get the 12.3-inch infotainment system, full touchscreen capability. You could bring up your climate controls. Let me throw it into reverse here with Steven hanging out the door. Oh, that hurts my eyes. It hurts my eyes. The resolution on that just, come on. It's 2025, guys. The resolution on that camera is like back to 1998. Not my favorite, but you do have trajectory lines, which is nice. And then we're right back where we started. Actually, technically, that's where we started. You do have real physical switchgear for your dual climate control. You could also control the rear seats as well. Heated seats, no ventilated seats. That's a zonk at $52,000. Wireless charging. There's a USB-A all the way, let me get this out of the way, all the way over here. You do have a power on button because this is a hybrid. And then this guy here is going to control your CVT. 2 cup holders. A nice little holder here. You open that, there's 2 more cup holders, so you could be really thirsty in here, and they got you covered. You'll notice that bridge center console. Down below, I mean, you could put a cowboy hat, you could put a pair of size 15 Jordans. You got a 12 volt down there, and you got this little square area. So if you have a little square item, like a Rubik's Cube, it won't slide around down there. But you could put a purse, a bag, a sack, a satchel. Even Steven has his fancy fanny pack he could put down there. Now you do have soft text on the armrest here with the stitching, but this doesn't open up. The way to open this up is you go like this. Open sesame. Tons of room in there. 2 USB-Cs. You could put, I would say, probably 4 cans of Pringles. I love Pringles. I remember, though, as a kid, my mom would never get them because they were never really on sale. So that was a little sad, but Pringles are so good. Just don't get your arm stuck in there. Don't be an idiot. Soft text on the seats, unique to the Woodland Edition because we got the stitching, this pattern. Electric assist for the passenger, electric assist for the driver. One thing that makes this minivan a little bit cooler is that it has a black headliner. I'm so glad they didn't do beige or something like that. And a standard size sunroof. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I want to show you behind the wheel in this Woodland Edition Sienna. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. You do have your power seat controls, nicely located. Seats are comfy and supportive. I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of room in here. Steering wheel, you got your leather, perforated and smooth, and they do give you some copper stitching, some copper tone stitching, because this is the Woodland Edition. I hate this horn button. Zonk all day long on the horn button. It's an ugly looking horn button. But you do have nice flat black on the switch gear. It is a manual tilting and telescoping wheel. And then you do have your 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. Watch this, Steven loves this. It's got the 3 different modes, and I love the way it brings out the Sienna there. We're going sport mode, baby, when we go on throttle. No head-up display. That's a little bit of a head scratcher. I'm surprised there's not a head-up display in here. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in that mid-row and third row, because I want to show you just how useful a minivan really can be. All right, guys, mid-row time and third row time. You do have nice grab handles for your passengers to come in. That's nice so your kids don't slip and break their leg. I love the way you got the all-weather protection. It's got the trees on it because it's the Woodland Edition. This is perfect for when your kids have to barf because they're getting car sick. Captain's chair arrangement. Seats are just like up front. The only zonk is what is this? It's just like just a little, like, I don't even want to say what I think this is because I might get zonked by you guys, but it's just too small. to be an actual armrest. Another thing I want to show you is that the seats are reclining. To slide them, you got to pull underneath here. A lot of times the bar's up front. It's not up front. It's in the middle here for some strange reason. Now you do have large pockets. This is where you could put, you know, some fruit roll-ups, maybe some beef jerky, depending on what your kid's eating. And then as you slide on in, you got 2 USB-Cs. You got a home power source. Somebody forgot to close that. You got a place for 2 Twinkies, 2 cup holders. I am 6 feet tall. I think I've told you that already. But what's great is that there's plenty of room. You got the built-in sunshades, which are nice. And you have your AC controls up top because you got the vents nicely positioned by your noggin. And then, like I said, the slide seats, we're gonna do this all in one shot. Steven didn't wanna do it. He gets all cranky when I wanna do everything in one shot. So what's nice is, look at that. Slides out of the way. Woo-hoo-hoo, look at this. Nice. Now we're talking. So for the 3rd row passenger, they get plenty of headroom. I got AC vents, 2 USB-Cs, 2 cup holders. The only problem is this seat looks like it's out of the back. You know what this looks like? This looks like the seats that they used to have in the Haunted Mansion ride at Walt Disney World. And that's not a compliment. So kind of sad that they went a little on the cheap side with the seats back here. But why don't we go ahead? We got plenty of room. But let's get into that cargo area. I want to show off something to you. All right, guys, the best part of any minivan comes with the cargo. Now you'll notice I have the 3rd row up. Look at how much room we have. And we have those fancy dancy Sienna Woodland Edition cargo mats. So if your kids have explosive diarrhea, put them back here and that'll protect the carpet at least. May not help with the smell, but it'll protect with the carpet. Now, on the passenger side, you do have a home power source. And then on the driver's side, you got a large nook area. This is where you could easily put 4 boxes of Twinkies. Hopefully, your kids don't have the explosive diarrhea because of the Twinkies. If that's the case, don't come blaming me. They probably ate too many. Now, you'll notice we have the 60-40 split, and the way it works is it's all manual. So there's that 40% that's down. You pull. Look how easy this is. Wow. Now, even if you don't have a bunch of kids, this would be perfect for somebody that has a band. If you have a band, think about putting all the equipment back here. Look at how low that liftover area is. You're not gonna get more room in a SUV. I don't care what size it is. I don't even care if you have a Suburban. You're not gonna get as much room as this thing has. So nice to see that great usability. How much space are we talking about? I know you wanna hear numbers. You love numbers. Well, guess what? I have it. With the 3rd row up, it's 34 cubic feet of space. With the 3rd row down, it's 75 cubic feet of space. And then you could see how those mid-row seats slide and then also move around. So nice to have that. There's the USB-Cs I was trying to point out that Steven couldn't get on camera. We got to improve his skills a little bit, but he's working on it. But why don't we go ahead? I know there's a bad stigma about minivans. Let's go for a little spin and see if it's really that bad. All right, guys, we are behind the wheel of this 2025 Woodland Edition Sienna. And right away, I mean, it doesn't get any better. Let me get all this junk out of here. It doesn't get any better to how the front seat area is organized. I mean, lots of great storage, awesome visibility. The 12.3 inch is well within reach. You got that 12.3 inch digital gauge cluster. Yeah, you're not gonna win any street races, but you're gonna be driving in some nice comfort and some really usable space. Yes, the car has a CVT. Yes, that's not my favorite transmission. But like I said, to get the kind of mileage that this car is getting is pretty stout for a minivan. But you're gonna get all of the great Toyota sensing technology. You got the JBL sound system, the updated infotainment system. So that makes it a little bit more palatable when you tell people, hey, I drive a minivan. If you're not digging this one, I think the other kind of cool minivan, if you could even say that, is going to be the XSE trim. But I'm liking the Woodland Edition trim, especially the wheels. But the seats are super comfortable. Toyota does a great job on seats for the distance. They may not be the sexiest looking, but man, you are going to feel sexy after you're done sitting in them on a 300-mile road trip. And having the better fuel economy is really going to help with that whole process. Of course, you could scroll through a cornucopia of information within the power gauge and your speedometer. And having the dual climate control, the one thing it's missing, like I said, for the price, are the ventilated seats. But you have your 3 different modes. That's all you need in this vehicle. And you have your all-wheel drive, which is great. And like I said, having this system like this where it's front-wheel drive most of the time until it detects any kind of slippage that's about to occur, then it kicks in the rear-wheel drive to get the all-wheel drive, if that makes sense. But very, very smooth, very, very comfortable. Of course, I'm gonna come to a stop here. When you go on throttle, you're gonna get that usual CVT RPM kind of drone. Are you ready? On throttle. So as you can see, when you're on throttle, you're not getting any kind of simulated shifts or anything like that. And that's something that I would like to see to just help bring back some of that loud RPM drone. But the way the suspension is tuned and how the interior is quiet in here, not a lot of wind noise, not a lot of road noise, and that's pretty good considering we have that roof rack system up top. Very, very impressive what Toyota has done with the Sienna. And say what you want about the styling, it's one of the cooler looking minivans. But just nice to have such a versatile vehicle, because no other vehicle is going to bring as much passenger volume and usable space as a minivan does. And you don't have to have a big family. Like I was saying earlier, if you're in a band, if you're carrying around a lot of equipment, a minivan is a great way to go to help save your back or getting a hernia. Don't want to do that. But the way the whole interior is sorted, everything is perfectly in its place. I just wish there was some simulated shifting going on, that's all. Because it just kind of really, the CVT takes away from the overall driving experience, but that's not what this car is about. I mean, you gotta compare apples to apples. But I'm hoping that this has been a good overall review of what the Sienna is bringing for 2025. Especially the Woodland Edition. We're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, another great day in so many ways here at Clearwater Toyota. We definitely gotta thank Steven and the rest of the team getting us this Woodland Edition of the Sienna for 2025. Let me know what you think. Is this the must-have minivan? Do you see why people wait months for their order to come in? Let me know your thoughts in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raise Rise family. Got to give it up to Stephen Flood. You know, he is so good with that camera. The reason why is because when he goes to the gym, he actually takes the whole camera with him. He does his cardio. Whenever he's lifting weights, he attaches the camera to the weights to just kind of take that into consideration. So Steven is the most considerate of people that I know that's right in front of me now. See what I did there? But anyways, thank you, Steven, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.